The fall presidential campaign is now officially underway. President Trump traveled to New Hampshire this evening for a rally. It came just hours after he accepted the Republican nomination for a second term, using the White House as a campaign backdrop. Amna Nawaz begins our coverage.
Before a striking White House scene, President Trump defined November's election in dark and dire terms.
This election will decide whether we save the American dream or whether we allow a socialist agenda to demolish our cherished destiny.
He issued dystopian warnings about Democratic governance.
No one will be safe in Biden's America.
Arguing his rival, former Vice President Joe Biden, would dismantle democracy.
Biden is a Trojan horse for socialism.
Destroy the economy.
He is the destroyer of America's jobs.
And unleash violence and anarchy in American communities.
The most dangerous aspect of the Biden platform is the attack on public safety.
The coronavirus pandemic, which has killed more than 180,000 Americans, seemed to be in the rearview mirror.
The United States has among the lowest case fatality rates of any major country anywhere in the world.
President Trump misleadingly touted new jobs, which make up less than half of the 22 million jobs lost since March, as evidence that the economy is on its way to a full recovery.
Over the past 3 months, we have gained over 9 million jobs, and that's a record in the history of our country.
He said that science has driven his pandemic response.
To save as many lives as possible, we are focusing on the science, the facts, and the data.
But the spectacle flew in the face of public health guidelines, with the president delivering the speech before more than 1,500 spectators, very few masks, very little social distancing.
The fact is, I'm here. What's the name of that building? But I'll say it differently. The fact is, we're here and they're not.
But just outside the White House gates, hundreds gathered to protest his divisive response to the racial justice movement and the pandemic. The 70-minute speech was riddled with misinformation and misleading statements on topics foreign and domestic, including repeated mischaracterizations of Biden's positions. On immigration, he exaggerated progress on border wall construction.
We have already built 300 miles of border wall.
Most of that wall replaced or repaired existing barriers, and none of it was paid for by Mexico, as Mr. Trump pledged 4 years ago. On energy, President Trump misstated his opponent's position.
Biden has promised to abolish the production of American oil, coal, shale, and natural gas.
Biden has actually called for a ban on new oil and gas drilling on public land as part of an effort to develop clean energy and fight climate change, but he has not called for an all-out fracking ban. On health care, the president repeated this claim.
We will always and very strongly protect patients with pre-existing conditions.
Even though his administration is currently in court fighting to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, and with it, protections for patients with pre-existing conditions. And on race and justice, President Trump restated his false claim that Biden supports defunding police departments.
Make no mistake, if you give power to Joe Biden, the radical left will defund police departments all across America.
But the president's statement followed a series of supportive testimonials, like this from Secretary Ben Carson, the lone black member of Mr. Trump's cabinet.
Many on the other side love to incite division by claiming that President Trump is a racist. They could not be more wrong.
The president's daughter and senior advisor, Ivanka Trump, offered a side of the president the public rarely sees.
I've been with my father, and I've seen the pain in his eyes when he receives updates on the lives that have been stolen by this plague.
The night ended with President Trump echoing his familiar refrain, nearly identical to his closing words at the convention 4 years ago.
And on November 3rd, we will make America safer. We will make America stronger. We will make America prouder. And we will make America greater than ever before.
Biden pushed back on President Trump's apocalyptic view of Democrats in power, writing on Twitter, "Remember, every example of violence Donald Trump decries has happened on his watch. Under his leadership, during his presidency. Both candidates now say they will hit the campaign trail in person in some way to reach voters nationwide. For President Trump, that includes a small rally tonight in New Hampshire, with just 67 days to go before the election. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Amna Nawaz.